You want me to stop sharing so you can open the show?
No, it's all right. Keep it there. Yeah, guys. Welcome to the Played Out, Weighed Out show. Man, it's been a long time coming, but it's finally football time in Tennessee, as they say. We're looking forward to Tennessee playing Bowling Green September 2nd, this coming up Thursday. And today we have Kevin back again and our long-lost buddy Wyatt, all the way from Pennsylvania. So thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Glad to be here.
Good to be here.
Great. I guess we're going to start out with what has been the topic for Tennessee all off-season. We have, thank you, appreciate it. We have, I guess from what I've heard, is Joe Milton's going to be the starter. My question to y'all is, for all, what is it, spring and also the summer, it was a four-man race. And everybody knew ever since Joe Milton came from Michigan that he was going to be the starter. So my question to y'all is, as far as, we'll start out with you, Wyatt. My question is, do you like the way Josh Heupel handled that situation? Do you think it was more genuine, like he wanted to see a sample size of how much talent, what the talent he had on the team, or do you think it was more just to show, knowing that Joe was going to be his man come Thursday?
No, I really do like the way he handled it. If it would have been a show, I think we would have seen Maurer transfer from the get-go. Maurer stayed in, up until a few weeks ago, till he transferred out. So I really do. I think it was kind of genuine seeing who was going to be the starter with him. Milton, I will say, he came out guns blazing for Michigan last year. First game looked really impressive. So I'm not gonna be too excited if he comes out and dishes out 350 yards against Bowling Green and think we found our answer at quarterback. So I think he is the guy, like you said, that's going to line up Thursday. But I don't think there's anything set in stone on the season by him starting.
Right. Kevin, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with it. So from everything I've read, they who got to work with the first team offense, at least for the first 2 weeks. I don't think they would have done that if they were doing a show, right? They would come out and tell you in the media that it's an open competition, but then when you had the practice reps, they would be dictated towards who they wanted to be the quarterback, and they didn't do that. I do think after the first scrimmage or two, they probably figured out, hey, Joe Milton's the guy we brought in here. We know Joe Milton. We know he's got the most arm talent. If he's as good as the guys he's going against, that's the guy we need to go with and develop and hope that he's the answer for the season.
Man, that's a very good point. I forgot about that. I read about that, but I forgot about that as far as the reps go. So I guess it really does make you lean towards the fact that they were trying to get a good sample size of all the people that they had on the roster. So since we're talking about offense, I feel like Wyatt already kind of told us what his expectations are as far as the opening game. Kevin, let's start with you. How do you think what's your expectations on the offensive side of the ball? And also, what are you looking for on the offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, so everything I've heard about Bowling Green is that they're just absolutely terrible. So my guess is Heupel will probably have a game plan that's very vanilla. He'll probably, try to get Joe Milton's feet wet with some throws, some different concepts, but he's not going to show everything that they have in their playbook. I think that they know that the next game against Pitt's probably the most important game of the year, especially if they're hoping to go 7-5, which is kind of the record that everybody's looking at as being a quote-unquote good season. It's amazing how far we've fallen to where that's the case, but you've got to start somewhere, and you only don't want to be 3-7 or 3-9 again. So 7-5 would be a good record, and I honestly don't believe we're going to see much from the offense in the first week. I think there'll be a lot of running. I think there'll be a lot of simple pass plays, just to get him some experience in that offense without opening the playbook all the way.
Right. Go ahead, Wyatt. Tell us. You already said that you're expecting 350 yards passing. Go ahead and tell us what else you're expecting from the offensive side of the ball.
I could see 350 yards passing. If Milton, because how bad Bowling Green is, I could see it, but kind of agreeing. Some short, simple throws, get Milton going, try to get him on this roll. I think Jabari Small, D. Beckwith are going to have quite the heavy load on Thursday night running the football, just how bad Bowling Green is, especially if the quarterbacks come out and they just can't perform well against Bowling Green. I expect to see our running backs get a lot of attention on Thursday night. I know T. Hodge is no longer in the mix. I think he just entered the transfer portal today. So I expect to see Jabari Small, D. Beckwith on top of that offense. I'd really like to see Jalen Hyatt really break out Thursday night, though. Maybe get him some screen passes going, some short little slant routes or something. Get him out in the open running. I'd like to see Hyatt get over 100 yards receiving for Thursday night, which I think is very doable with how bad Bowling Green is.
Right.
So, but like I agree. Like Pittsburgh, I think it's the most important game for us getting to a bowl this year. I really do. I think it'll set the tone for the season. They go out and beat Pittsburgh. But I don't expect to see just absolutely open up the playbook for Pittsburgh, let them get all this stuff in, keep it small, be successful with the plays that you run and stuff, and get that confidence going with Milton. Or if it randomly turns out to be Bailey or whoever it is, just get that confidence going with those short passes, run the ball, picking up big gains there.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm kind of with y'all. I do think that I'm looking for them to run the ball pretty effectively. I would hope. Also, what I'm looking for and hoping for is we don't have the guys are lined up in the right spot. We don't have a lot of pre-snap penalties. I cannot stand that. And so that's what I'm looking for. If they don't do that, even if it's a close game, that doesn't bother me. Now, granted, you better win the game. Now, both of y'all said that Bowling Green is terrible, but wasn't Georgia State terrible? Was it last or whatever year it was? I already forgot about it. They were terrible too. So, hey, all bets are off once they kick off the ball. So obviously I was looking for a win, but just look like you know what you're doing. That's really what I'm looking for. And like you said, I'm not really worried about 500 yards production right now. Just look like you know what you're doing. Line up in the right spot, and like you kind of like what you said, Kevin. Use this as a practice game or a sprint or whatever, a game getting ready for Pittsburgh, which I agree with you. Pitt is a very important game, definitely. So let's move on to the defensive side. Kevin, what are you expecting to see on the defense about that for the fact that we have, Tim Bakes, first year DC? What's your expectations and what are you hoping for?
Well, I always tell people when I talk about the new staff and what the expectations are that it can't get any worse. So I'd just like to see a little bit of improvement on defense. No, we're not going to finish probably in the top half of the conference in defense, but I would say middle of the pack. If we could finish middle of the pack, like 7th or 8th in the conference in defense, I think that's a step in the right direction. I don't know if we have the horses, or maybe it's not the horses, but the depth. We've got some spots where we don't have, I would call, impact players on defense.
Right.
So, Banks is going to have to be creative with a lot of blitzes, a lot of pressures and things like that. I think against Bowling Green, they probably won't go a lot again just because they're so bad. And to your point, we're talking about Bowling Green being bad. I could totally see it being like a 42-17 game where we don't even cover the spread.
I'm glad you brought the spread. We're supposed to beat them by 34 points according to ESPN. Every site I saw was over 30.
I feel like as a Tennessee fan, the best thing you can do going to any game, at least for the last 10 years, is to pick Tennessee not to cover the spread and then hope for the best.
Right. I can't disagree. I mean, 34 points is a lot of points. I feel like last year we only went over 35 or 30 like twice last year. So granted, I know this is an offensive coaching staff, but again, I mean, we're at game 0 right now. So to expect them to score more than 34 points, I feel like is being quite generous. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, back to Wyatt's point about the 350 yards passing, it may be a case where they want to really get the passing game working on all cylinders. They may purposely try to throw the ball off that game, and they may end up with 350 yards. And then if you're looking at it from my side, even if they're conservative, Bowling Green may be so bad that they end up with 350 passing yards anyways. So, yeah, right. I think I just want to see them make nice, crisp throws, be able to get open against a team that's not very good. And then since we're talking about defense now, I want to see them get some 3-and-outs, get the offense in some rhythm, and really go in with a good feeling going into the Pitt game.
Okay. Wyatt, expectations and your hopes for the defensive side of the ball.
Defensive expectations are definitely not as high as offensive expectations, just with, Heupel's past, that just, the offensive production comes with his resume. But what I want to see from the defense, and something I have not seen from a Tennessee defense in a while, honestly, I think when I think about a true leader, going back to A.J. Johnson, I want to see a true leader step up on this defense. And we got our guy that's leading the defense, whether that be Alontae Taylor, Jawan Mitchell coming in from Texas, or they've been saying Tyler Barron's been really been doing well from what I've been reading on defensive line in practice. I want to see a true leader that sticks out, and that's our guy on the defensive side. I think they've had a few good defensive players in the past years, with Reeves-Maybin and stuff, but I want a true defensive leader. We know that's our guy that's leading the defense and putting his guys in the right positions and stuff. I thought that was going to be Toe, but I don't, he didn't really stick around long enough to do that. So I'm hoping to see just, a true leader out there and the team go out there and compete. I mean, our defense, I can't remember the last time I had confidence that our D-line was going to be getting pressure all day on the quarterback.
Right.
I can't remember the last time I watched a Tennessee game thinking that. And so with Gardner coming in, I had big expectations for that. So that's really what I want to see. Don't have huge expectations for defense. Just go out there and compete and get your team off the field in easy situations. Don't give up 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s. Get them off the field when you can. Try to limit it 3rd and 5 and back.
Right.
That's really what I'm hoping to see.
And back to what you're saying, you want to see a leader. Who do you think's going to be that leader on the defensive side of the ball? Do you know? I mean, your opinion. I'm sorry. Of course you don't know. Your opinion.
My opinion, I'd like to see it be Jawan Mitchell come in with the experience from Texas, led the team in tackles, kind of having that linebacker leader. I'd like to see it be him. Granted, it could be anybody. I just want to see someone step up on the defensive side of football and be that leader for us.
Right.
They desperately need this year.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for. I feel like it is going to be Jawan Mitchell from Texas, like you said. I'm definitely. So we both. So finally, your predictions for the fight or the game. Do you think that they're going to cover the spread? I don't think we got your thoughts on that, Wyatt. 34 points.
34 points is a lot, especially for what Tennessee's coming off of last year into this year.
Right.
And like you said, I think if they get lined up in the right positions early, they'll cover the spread. If they know what they're doing, not making the stupid flags and stuff. Because you remember Pruitt's first game against West Virginia, it was like the kids have never played football before in their life. That first drive, it was false start or false start.
Right, just sloppy.
Yeah, sloppy, absolutely sloppy. So if they come out like that under Heupel, first drive, it may get off a slow start. They may not cover that spread. But I think if they come out and they just do the things that they're supposed to be able to do from the get-go, I think they can cover the spread. But it's just doing your job. Make sure you're doing it right first before they get there. We'll see though Thursday if they get lined up normally or they come out false start after false start. So we'll see.
All right.
You know why you were talking about that West Virginia game? I vividly remember we had at least 5 or 6 plays in that game where we didn't even block the defensive lineman, and Garantano just got destroyed.
Yep.
He definitely, that was the case.
It was brutal. And honestly, you're exactly right, Wyatt. What we need to see is just a team that can do the simple things. Because that's really all they need to do to beat Bowling Green. Now they're going to have to make some plays against Pitt, but against Bowling Green, you just need to be able to show you know what you're doing.
Speaking of Pitt, I know we're going to talk about them next week, but I mean, how many starters? Does anyone know? I didn't read. How many starters are they bringing back?
They got their quarterback back, but they did lose a lot of their best players from last year's
defensive
team.
Side of the ball, right? I feel like the Minnesota Vikings are a favorite team of mine. They had a D-line and an end from there, so they probably lost a lot on the defense side of the ball, I would assume, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anything else y'all want to add? I don't really have anything else. I mean, I'm on the offensive side of the ball, I'm with you. I think Smalls is going to be the player of the game. Wyatt, I feel like you were talking about that. I don't expect Hyatt to have I don't know that's what you were expecting for him to have hoping for him to have an over 100-yard game, but I don't really see that happening. We'll see though. It only takes one bomb to get 60, 70 yards. On the defensive side of the ball, I don't know who the player of the game. I mean, I'm with you though, Mitchell, the middle linebacker.
Jesse, I'm high on Hyatt though. He's been my guy from January when I first started the show. Hyatt is a guy I've got so much expectations for him this year. I want to really see him break out going this year. So it's a little bit like, I'm kind of more hoping for it, because I really want to see him become that guy. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I hear you. Go ahead, Kevin.
Jesse, let's you and Wyatt and myself, let's name our top breakout player for offensive defense in this game.
Well, that's what I was saying. I feel like it's going to be Wyatt. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
You're fine. Wyatt has already mentioned Hyatt, so who are some other guys who we think is going to break out?
Everybody's high on Jabari Small, but still, I think Beckwith runs with a lot of power. I've been reading he's been impressive in practice and stuff. So I think Small's going to be the starter the whole year, but also I'd like to see Beckwith, get some carries down the trenches and stuff for us. Maybe break one out here and there. He's 6'5". It's a big kid. So run the football. So I'd like to see some power from him. Maybe see him break out a little bit too.
I would like to see, if anybody watched the show from last year, I would like to see, I don't even know who is supposed to be. Is it Fant is going to be the starting H-back or tight end?
Yeah, and they've got the kid from Farragut too. I can't remember his name.
Barron?
Jacob Warren.
Warren. Yeah, Warren. I'm sorry. Thank you. Warren. I just want to see the tight ends. I feel like that's the X factor, even in this kind of offense. I would like to see the tight ends get some catches, man. Let's give them 5 or 6 catches at least, because what that's going to suggest to me, they're going to have a play action with them guys just going to the flat or just kind of find their way and sit down. Easy throws, easy completions. It's always going to help the offense on both ends, on the passing game and also on the running game.
We hadn't had a true, solid tight end, in my opinion, since Michael Rivera in the Dooley days. That was the last time we had so it'd be nice to see a tight end from Tennessee produce again.
I totally agree. Kevin, go ahead.
So I'm going to pick one offensive player and one defensive player.
Okay, go ahead.
So for me, on offense, I'm going to pick Tyon Evans, who is also a running back who's been impressing in practice. He's kind of like a Travis Henry bowling ball type of guy, but he's got a lot of short area quickness.
The JUCO.
They're super excited about him. And then another JUCO, Byron Young on defense. He is supposed to be extremely athletic and a good pass rusher. He's also got a massive brand on his arm that I don't know how anybody could make it through having their arm branded like he did, but it literally inches off of his arm.
Oh, is it?
So he's the biggest brand I've ever seen.
So it suggests that he's all man, right? And he's from Alabama, right?
He's not scared of anything.
All right. All right. I can't think of the defensive tackle that I love so much. I'm embarrassed. He's from Memphis.
You think Junkyard Dog? You think old Junkyard Dog? What's his name? Big
Simmons.
Simmons. That's who I love.
Simmons.
I think. I hope I think he's gonna make a lot of noise this year. The guy can just play, man. The guy can just play. Go ahead.
The question is, how do they get his helmet on his head? He's got the biggest head of any human I've ever seen.
Well, hey, it don't matter to me because he can. I tell you, he can play that daggum inside tackle with 3 technique. I don't know where they have him lining up, but he's nasty in there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. Is he a junior this year? Man, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember.
I think he's a sophomore. I think he redshirted.
Well, he redshirted. Okay. Well, then, hey, I think that he really can make a jump. I know he was hurt during the orange and white game, but every time I see him, I feel like he was making plays. So that's what the guy I'm really going to be watching for sure. Go ahead, Wyatt.
Defensive side for me, I'd like to see Tyler Barron step up this year, come out, see him get some sacks. Just really, I just want to see defensive line from Tennessee get pressure on the quarterback. I think it's been so long since we've had that consistently. So that's what I'm hoping for. Some pressure this year from Tyler Barron and some of those defensive linemen this year.
All right. Well, I guess we pretty much covered everything with the Bowling Green, Tennessee game. So we all agree they're going to win, though, right? Just for clarity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if so convincing. It's like the spread 34. That's just ridiculous. So let's move on. Let's go ahead and pick some other SEC games. You want to go ahead and share it there, Kevin, if you can? I guess we'll start out with Louisiana Monroe at Kentucky. I know that according to, I don't know what the spread is, but who do y'all have winning that game?
Can you see the
Kentucky.
screen?
Yeah, we can see it. Go ahead.
Okay.
So
Wyatt, go ahead.
Go ahead, Wyatt.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I got Kentucky win this game pretty handedly. Louisiana Monroe. If it was Louisiana Lafayette, now I'll be telling you that might be a ball game. But Kentucky, Mark Stoops, I think has just done an outstanding job at Kentucky, at a place where football was. They used to be like Vanderbilt, So I think Mark Stoops keeps it going. Easy win for Kentucky in that first week.
I read an article. Speaking of Mark Stoops, I read an article. They saying if he keeps trending up, that he might be one of the coaches that gets stole from the SEC. I mean,
I hope so.
You hope so?
I want to see Kentucky. I'm so sick of them. I want to see Kentucky back where they used to be. I'm sick of their fans, and yeah.
Really, you know what? I kind of like Kentucky being. It's not like they've been great, but they've definitely been great considering the fact that they're Kentucky. I kind of like the fact that you have to scrap them. I mean, because they ain't giving it to Georgia. That's not an easy W. And whoever else is, the Florida, it's not an easy W. So I kind of like the competition. But anyway,
I'm with Wyatt. I'm with Wyatt on the Kentucky hate, man. Every year now that they are semi-decent, they feel like they're going to win the SEC East, and it's never going to happen. I would like for it to go back to the days where they know it's never going to happen.
So You're saying they act like Tennessee fans now, right? Every time we get a new coach, we think we're going to win the East, right?
They act like Tennessee fans, the tradition, basically.
Right.
To me, they act like Vanderbilt fans when Vanderbilt had James Franklin. That's what I'm getting. That's what I get from Kentucky fans. When Vanderbilt had James Franklin, they thought they were on top of the world, and so now Vanderbilt's back where they belong, and so that's where
So you're elitist, is what you're saying? Why you don't like to see the low man come up, huh? Every once in a while.
No, I like Georgia and Florida being good and Tennessee being good in the East, because I think that's what makes the East good. Those are the teams I want to see good in the East every year.
Right.
Rest of them, no.
No. Okay.
And I like Rick Barnes beating Coach Calipari every year in basketball.
I do too. You gotta love that.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Rice at Arkansas.
So Arkansas is my SEC sleeper team this year. So I've been telling people I'm a huge Sam Pittman fan. So I think Arkansas comes out, wins big too against Rice. I think Arkansas might shock some people this year. I really do.
All right, well, they shocked us last year, so I don't know why like you said, they probably be. That's one more year, for sure. So I definitely agree with you there. Go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I think Rice is basically the Vanderbilt of the Big 12, so they're not very good. That's an academic school, so it should be an easy one for Arkansas.
Okay. All right. Now this is gonna be an intriguing game. I feel like Alabama versus Miami. Where's that game gonna be at? I'm sure it's a neutral site, right?
It's in Atlanta, I think.
Is it in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Who's going to win that game? Kevin.
I think Alabama will cover in that game. It's interesting. Bama's they've been so good on offense the last 3 years. I think that this year their defense is going to be extremely good, and they'll be able to support Jordan Young. It's Jordan Young, right?
Yes. Or Bryson Young.
Bryce Young.
Yeah. Bryce Young. Yeah.
Defense will be able to support Bryce Young this year. He won't really have to do that much. They'll kill Miami, in my opinion. Miami's defense was horrible last year.
Okay. Wyatt?
Yeah, I think Alabama wins handedly. I mean, I could see it being 42-14.
42-14.
Yeah, I mean, every year Alabama plays in these games, whether it was Michigan the one year, Penn State, whatever team Alabama plays in these games, they always come out and they win big. And Miami, I thought last year was super overrated. I'm not sold on their coach yet. I can't remember. Is it
Diaz?
Yeah, Manny Diaz. Yeah. I'm not sold on Diaz bringing the Canes back to their early 2000s glory. I think Alabama wins big time.
Okay. I guess what are they? 18-point favorites, 18.5 favorites according to ESPN. I agree with you so far. Louisiana Tech at Mississippi State. And Mississippi State is 23.5 favorites. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, I mean that's another one that I'll admittedly say that I don't know a lot about La Tech, but I feel like Mississippi State will win the game for sure.
Right.
I'm trying to pull up the record for Louisiana Tech last year to see if it would even be a difficult one.
Right. Well, apparently not. 23.5 favorites again. I don't think so. The only thing I know about La Tech is when we went and stole Dooley, supposedly stole him, La Tech got better, which is didn't make no sense to me. But anyways, go ahead, Wyatt. What do you think about that game?
I don't know much about Louisiana Tech either. Mississippi State to me is going to be the most question marked, interesting team of the FCC this year. I think.
Why are you saying that?
I have no idea what to expect out of Mike Leach in year 2 at Mississippi State. I have absolutely zero idea. I could see Mississippi State going 9-3 this year. I could also see him going like 4-8. I have absolutely no idea what to expect out of Mike Leach in the second year. With that said, I think Mississippi State wins handily against Louisiana Tech.
Okay, moving along because these games are kind of, I guess, according to the spread, this Central Michigan at Missouri. Missouri is 13.5 favorites. Kevin, what's your thoughts?
Sorry, audio issues. That's Central Michigan. You know, they've always had a history of having some scrappy teams, but I just don't see them beating Missouri. I actually think it's Elia Drinkwitz is the coach's name. I think he's actually a pretty decent coach. I don't know if he'll ever be able to get the players at Missouri he needs to compete, but I see Missouri covering the spread on that one, to be honest with you.
Okay. All right. Oops. All right, Wyatt.
Central Michigan is coached by former Florida head coach Jim McElwain, and apparently, I was actually reading something about them the other day. Apparently, because they were pretty good in 2019, they had a good squad. Apparently, they went through some like rebuilding. I don't know why I was randomly looking at Central Michigan the other day. It's probably because Jim McElwain. But apparently, they went through some rebuilding last year. Supposed to have a little decent team. We're going to see about Eli Drinkwitz. He's trying to be the next Steve Spurrier, I think. I don't know if y'all saw media days where he was talking crap about Arkansas, kind of how Steve Spurrier did. We'll see if it's all show or he's really, we'll see if he can talk the talk here this season. I think he did some decent things last year, but I think Central Michigan, like Kevin said, have a scrappy little team. Jim McElwain, good little offense. So I could see this game being close. I think Missouri wins, but I could see this game. This is the one I could see being pretty close.
Okay, I feel like we're running out of time, so we're going to speed through the rest of the thing. Akron at Auburn. Everybody agree Auburn's going to win?
Auburn.
Okay.
All the way.
Eastern Illinois at South Carolina. That might be a questionable since we got year one.
South Carolina wins. I don't know too much about Shane Beamer or whatever his name is.
Right.
To know really.
What's the spread on that? It doesn't really have one according to ESPN. Well, okay. Well, here's the big game: Clemson and Georgia. Who's going to win that game?
Well, this one is. I can't wait to see this one. I like to bring up 1980 a lot when I talk to Georgia fans about their team. But you know what? If you put a nickel in the slots enough times, eventually somebody's going to win.
Right.
And I feel like one of these years, Georgia's going to break through. And I guess you could consider the year they went to the national championship game their breakthrough game, but they didn't win it. I actually think Georgia's going to beat Clemson in this game. I don't think it's because who's the quarterback again? I'm sorry.
For who?
Georgia.
JT Daniels, isn't it?
Yeah, JT Daniels from Southern Cal.
We got Clemson's quarterback's DJU. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, but I think JT Daniels is going to be a lot better. He's going to be like a Jake Fromm type guy, just a game manager, a guy that can make the throws he's supposed to. Georgia, I think, is going to lean heavily on their run game, and I could definitely see Georgia winning this game, and I see them winning the East, to be honest with you.
Okay. Wyatt, go ahead and give us your thoughts on that game.
To me, this Georgia-Clemson game, it all depends on which quarterback shows up and is better from either side. If JT Daniels comes out and balls out and the DJ guy's okay, I think Georgia wins. But it turns out DJ comes out, balls out, JT Daniels looks a little bad. I think is George Pickens hurt too for Georgia?
He
Their star
actually
wide
the
receiver.
wide receiver, right, number one.
Yeah,
He's actually out
They've
for the
got some
season,
tight
from
ends
what I
out
read.
too.
He's out for the he's out for the season with a torn ACL.
yeah. So that's the only thing sort of I'd be
Hmm.
worried about Georgia, but still, I think it all comes down to which quarterback's better, Georgia or Clemson, because both first year quarterbacks. I'm so excited to watch this game Saturday night. It's the one I'm looking forward to most.
Very much so. Okay, I'm with. You know what? I haven't even said who I think is gonna win. I feel like, man, I feel like Clemson's gonna win. I'm hoping, believe it or not, as much as I can't stand Georgia, I'm actually hoping that Georgia wins the game. But I'm glad you reminded me of the fact that they did lose their best wide receiver, and I think Kevin, you were trying to say that they lost a stud tight end as well, and I think you're right. And so I
Yeah, I
feel
think
like
they
they also
lost two.
two, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And I feel like they lost some key players on the defensive side of the ball. And man, Clemson is one of those teams that, man, when I root for them, they don't win. When I'm rooting against them, it feels like they win most of the time. So that's what I'm expecting to happen. Let's see here. Florida Atlantic at Florida.
Florida wins. All
Florida,
day.
obviously. Okay. Kent State at Texas A&M. Pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
Right. I guess here let's go. We're gonna skip the ETSU and versus Vanderbilt.
I have ETSU winning that game though, Jesse.
Oh, okay,
So,
okay. Kevin, do you have that happening as well?
Honestly, it would not shock me. Vanderbilt is so bad. I mean, even as bad as we were last year, we beat the pants off of them, and they've got a brand new staff. I know they didn't bring in any talent, so I could see ETSU giving them a game there for sure.
Okay,
And
what
the
about
tickets are $3, so maybe we should
$3?
all go.
Man, I can't waste my gas money to go. And that's about how I feel. I don't know who's gonna win that game, nor do I care. But that being said, let's go ahead and move on to LSU at UCLA. That's gonna be interesting. They got to go. Is this a neutral site, or are they going all the way out to LA?
it's in the Rose Bowl.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like that's going to be towards. They already had a practice game against Hawaii. I believe they beat them 44-10. So what's your thoughts on that, Wyatt?
I think Ed Orgeron, believe it or not, is I wouldn't say he's on the hot seat yet, but if he comes in this year and has a horrible season this year, I think next year he'll be on the hot seat. He's got to have a good season. So Chip Kelly also is on the hot seat too, kind of a little bit. He hadn't been doing too good since he's been there. So both of these coaches, I think, are going to kind of be coaching to set the tone for the season,
Right.
for how it's going to go. So this is a must-win for both teams. I think LSU comes away with it in the end.
Because they're LSU, right?
I see LSU winning by about 2 touchdowns, I think.
Okay, Kevin.
I agree with Wyatt on on both coaches. Now, I will say this: I don't think UCLA cares enough about football to get rid of Chip Kelly.
True.
I watched that game yesterday, and I'm not even lying. This is not an exaggeration. They probably had 2,000 people there, 100,000 seat stadium. I couldn't believe it. I know they have strict COVID restrictions there, but they just don't care about football there.
Right.
And I also agree with Wyatt on Ed Orgeron. I think that Orgeron kind of forced their hand, and they had to hire him that year that he was interim coach because he won those games. But I don't think the fans or their admin really are in love with him as a coach, and I think they would love to have a reason to get rid of him.
Yeah, Ed Orgeron. I think he's proven to be a moron. I mean, as much as I know that sounds terrible, he did a great job with the guys that he hired. But man, you see him, he had a little bit of success. And then I know this is maybe inappropriate for the show, but then he's taking pictures he divorces his longtime wife, and he's taking pictures with pretty Bayou girls. So I'm like, okay. So I mean, there's something questionable about his character. I'm with you on that, Kevin. And the last interesting one, which I feel like is gonna be interesting, Monday night, we have Louisville versus Ole Miss. Go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead. What's your thoughts on that game?
So the hype train for the Lane train is at it again. I know Ole Miss is going to score a lot of points. Don't underestimate the loss of Elijah Moore, though. He was their best receiver. I don't know a lot about the other weapons that they have, but I know one thing: Louisville was not that good last year. I don't know enough about them to be able to pick them to beat Ole Miss, though. So I'm going to go Ole Miss by 10.
Right. Okay. Wyatt.
Yeah, I was thinking around the same thing. Ole Miss, I could see Ole Miss even scoring 50, 60 points in this game. I mean, I think Lane's going to come out and just try to really make a statement this second year. Now that he's actually coming back to a school, an SEC school for the second year instead of ditching him. So I think he's going to really try to make a statement in this first game back offensively. We'll see how their defense does. I know Louisville, they had a decent season 2 years ago. I think they went 8-4 in the Music City Bowl. Don't know enough about them though to really pull off an upset against Ole Miss. So I'm going Ole Miss, by double digits, not by more than 20, but by double digits.
I agree with you there. I'm definitely with y'all. I feel like one thing, what you were talking about, Elijah Moore was very good, but the coaching staff prior to Lane Kiffin were always looking for wide receivers. So there's a wide receiver on that staff. And then you have Lane Kiffin and his staff. They're looking for wide receivers. So I guarantee they have 2 wide receivers that are going to prove to be problematic for the rest of the league. So I'm with you. I definitely think they win the game. Well, I guess that's all. We didn't have any comments, did we, Brad? No comments. Man, that's on me. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you back on 6:30 this Sunday and talk about the victory, hopefully.
Sounds
Go
good.
Vols.
Been a pleasure.
All right.
You want to stop the broadcast and we can maybe